I'll just cold mic it, and then why don't you bring it in, start us off? I'll take every first question on the interviews, and yeah, I'll see if I can drag him in at intermission, the winner of the first race, and then you can send us out and just tell me when Mike's cold. But you can lead a little bit more on this one.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's GR86 Cup race live from Rudskogen Motorsenter. I'm Matthew Nordberg. Joining me up in the booth for tonight's race is Joshua Crane, and tonight's going to be an interesting race for sure, as Rudskogen is one of the newer tracks on the iRacing service, and it's definitely going to be a challenge for some of our drivers tonight as they navigate this Herman Tilke designed circuit. Josh, I think it's going to be fun to watch. What are you looking for tonight?
Well, I'm looking for some really hard passing. We know that these cars are not big on drafting or slipstream, and we know that this track has a kind of a front stretch right here where we see Jake Cummings going into the corner. That's going to be a passing zone for some of these drivers, but there's a lot of areas that are quick left, right, and it's not a big passing opportunity for some of these drivers. And right there, as you can see, Drexel getting a little bit loose and out of shape. It's going to be a theme tonight that these drivers have to manage the undulating surfaces here. And Matt, I don't even know if the trackside cameras do it justice, but there's going to be a handful for these drivers to manage just about every corner of this course. It is not very relaxing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of these drivers are going to recognize some of these corners from pretty popular Formula One tracks. I think, as I mentioned earlier, Herman Tilke did design the circuit. He did design a lot of F1 tracks. So you see this long sweeping right-hander that one of our drivers is going through there as our camera crew dealing with some technical issues tonight. Can't really control what we can see due to some issues, but you see a lot of sweeping corners. It almost reminds me of China, like the Shanghai International Circuit, and how this circuit is set up with a lot of sweeping right-handers that go on forever, almost 360 degrees.
Yeah, that seems to be the case there. Clemson right there, and Drew Williams in the 23 is working his way through, and through this same sector, Drexel. This is going to be one of the tricky points because you get down into that corner, and it's so tricky on the brakes, and you really feel like you can go super late and deep on the brakes, but yeah, that's just not the case.
Yeah, for sure, and I think currently 6 minutes down in our qualifying session so far, 6 minutes to go as we look with Ian Brown right now. He is top of the timing tower with a 134.524. He's about half a second in front of Jake Cummings in the 007 car right now.
Yeah, and it looks like Andrew Williams actually is waiting to put on a couple laps right there. The interval getting sorted out for those drivers. But Mesa Community College looking up top of the board right now. That's not a big surprise right there down into the final corner, but it looks like Drexel actually has made their way around here in qualifying. And going to see if that car can get pointed back the right direction, but across the line now comes Mesa Community College, and we'll see, can it be an improvement on the 134? It is 34.373 for Ian Brown. That's going to be looking pretty difficult to beat for some of these other drivers. Coming around the corner now, Wingate University and Jake Cummings. He's going to try and get the job done across the line right here. That's going to be a really good run out of that corner. That is a very hard corner there on the end. to get sorted out. But coming across the line there with Wingate University, I don't think that lap counted there. At least was not a best lap up according to the ticker. So you know what? This one invalidated as well from Wingate. It is so difficult to get right there into that turn one and make sure you don't come off the corner right there. You want to stay on track and keep it between those lines. So checking out now, leaving the pits at the University of Virginia, and Thomas Toomey. He's going to try and do his best to get sorted out here around this corner.
Yeah, for sure. As you can really see some of the elevation changes here, as Toomey was going really right past the cliffs of Rudskogen. This track is pretty far south in Norway. The Meteorological Institute here in Norway actually does say it can be open 8 more weeks of the year than any other track because of how south it is right now. So just a little meteorological fact of the day for you, as it looks like Ian Brown still trying to extend his advantage at the top of the field, as now it's only 1/10 of a second between Ian Brown and Alexander Diamond.
Yeah, pretty hotly contested right now, especially for that final step on at the podium. Not that qualifying has a big podium to it, but always exciting to be there up on the inside of the second row. Ooh, that's going to be off for Drew Williams right there on the 23. In fact, very off. I think probably gave up a little bit after that first slip, and that was all for the 23 car. Clemson University going to have to try and go back to the pits to get another lap in. But back up here is Alex Diamond, the student points leader for Drexel University. He is pushing that car down into the corner. This is where we're going to see a lot of action from these cars as they load up so much. A little bit of bounce there, all the weight on the left front. And it's going to be a game of who can carry the most momentum through there and who can do the best work to manage the tires, the braking, and keep the momentum through that corner, Matt.
Yeah, you can really see how much one corner leads to the next through this middle sector here from Alexander Diamond, where being out of position on the exit of one corner is really going to put you on the back foot for the rest of a sector, really, until you can get to a straightaway to catch your breath, as Diamond here comes down to this sweeping right-hander, hard on the brakes. It could be a good overtaking opportunity for a driver if they're ambitious enough, but coming out of the corner very nicely done by Alexander Diamond as they come up to the next corner here. Looks like he's doing really well, but that's going to be an off track for Diamond. Just a little too much speed coming out of the corner. Josh, I think he's going to be disappointed, and he only has one more chance here to set another lap time.
Yeah, the time is ticking down, so that's going to be coming into play for all these drivers. And good on Diamond. He had a fast lap, but he's got to be on the edge to get close to Mesa Community College. That car, in fact, speaking of on the edge and a little bit far over, the 003 machine, trying to get the most out of that time. And actually, I did not notice, Matt, that Mesa Community College had dipped under the .3s. A 134.298 is a rocket lap around this joint.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a really quick lap from Ian Brown. It'll be interesting to see if Alexander Diamond can give him a run for his money tonight. Only 0.2 of a second behind. But another driver in the field right now who is very quick and has given Ian Brown a run for his money before is Thomas Toomey for the University of Virginia. He's done great work so far this season. We saw him dominate last week at, what was it again? Zolder.
That was at Zolder last week. A lot of performance.
Yeah. Toomey did a great job at Zolder last week, and I think Ian Brown, unfortunately, I think he got caught up in some accidents or some mistakes that he wanted to get back. So we'll see if Ian Brown can get on the top of the podium here tonight, as Thomas Toomey, 3.9 seconds back right now. He's still, maybe he just tried to set a banker lap, maybe he's just a little over-ambitious right now on his lap time.
Yeah, we'll see. And with the cars tonight, obviously, these students coming back from July 4th adventures here, at least in the United States, going to be a little bit lighter for the field this evening. And no problem, Thomas will be able to work his way up. If the opportunity's there, he'll make the most of it. But Virginia looking pretty good as usual through the final corner, and that's where it takes so much finesse to get around that corner. Not tracking all the way out and quickly going out to the outside here. You want to use up as much curb as you can. Don't get the off track there. And Toomey coming across, and we're going to see if that was invalidated, Matt. But here, back the quick left and then the long sweeping right. And the question, kind of like the Road America carousel, where do you come out? Where do you come back for the apex? Where do you get on the gas? And will it be enough? I think that's in track limits, but I don't know if that was particularly fast. But Thomas Toomey will know better than I do. Looking at that time, yeah, somewhere along the way, Matt, looks like that lap was invalidated, deleted.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the qualifying session has come to an end here. It's going to be Ian Brown from Mesa Community College on the pole position for tonight's first race. Right behind him in the second position is going to be Jake Cummings out of Wingate University. And third, it's Andrew Williams for Clemson University, the number 23 car. Alexander Diamond, we saw him at the top of the timing towers some during the qualifying session, but he can only manage a fourth place finish in qualifying. To start your first race, Timothy Williams, his Drexel University teammate, will start right behind him in fifth, and then Thomas Toomey will start sixth for tonight's first race. Invert after the first race, of course, so lots to play for. So expect to see some of these drivers be ready to be a little pushy and maybe aggressive here in this first race, potentially.
That's exactly what's going on. These drivers are getting ready to have the lap set up ahead of them. And yeah, I think, Matt, that's going to be the flavor of the night. It'll be a pretty physical battle, I think. And with the lighter car count, there may be some more room for these drivers to maneuver around each other, try and compete pretty closely. But overall, yeah, I suspect that it will be physical because these cars, we've seen these drivers rub up a little bit. And then we know that this track, you really have to be a little bit aggressive with the pass. So again, these drivers will have to pass safely, but it should be pretty exciting to watch them do so.
Yeah, for sure. As Mesa Community College, I think he's in a good spot. I think obviously whenever you get the chance to start on the pole position, you'll have the clean air. And especially with a rolling start in these GR86 cars, you can really dictate when you go. And I think that's such a big advantage, especially when the field is going to be so close to one another tonight. As I believe the gap from right behind Ian Brown was only a couple tenths of a second. So Jake Cummings, if he gets a good run, expect to see him challenge for the lead, potentially into that left-hander of turn one. You can really see the elevation change in turn one here. Up the hill, hard braking onto that tight left-hander. It's going to be fun to watch here on lap one.
Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be. These drivers know that the opportunities are limited, so in the opening stages, they'll be really motivated to make it happen into turn one or a little bit thereafter as they carry their momentum down into, I think it's like turn 3 or 4, that these drivers will have to battle their way through. They'll be 2 wide, they might be 3 wide, and that'll be something that'll be pretty exciting to watch, I think, Matt.
Yeah, for sure, and I think these drivers are going to take the opportunity on this pace lap to really warm up their tires. You see Ian Brown on the right there weaving very aggressively right, left, right there, trying to get some heat into those tires because you want to have all the grip you can going into turn one. It can be scary sometimes because a lot of the times you don't really practice going into turn one, right? You kind of just practice hot lapping, then as Ian Brown there maybe gets a little too aggressive with the wiggling, but yeah, you get down into turn one and you aren't practicing restarts all the time. You're practicing hot lapping, so you know your braking points for turn one when you're hot lapping, but when you're going 20, 30, or even 40 miles per hour slower off a restart, it changes everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers take turn one.
Yeah, it will, and it'll be different as well when you have a car to your inside or to your outside. You can see Wingate University getting ready to rumble there next to Clemson University in that 23 car. And always a sharp-looking car, that Wingate. Jake Cummings, that crew always has those cars painted pretty nicely on the road and oval side. So back up at the front, Mesa Community College going to lead us into that quick left turn. And it's going to be pretty hard to stay alongside, but you got to root for chaos here, Matt. And if Drexel can stay alongside, they'll have great position for that inside corner. Of course, the stewards will be watching a little bit of excitement on lap one and who gives the right amount of room. You want to have a little bit of position right there. So be tricky for everybody to kind of navigate that, but that's what makes these cars so much fun, especially here at this racetrack.
Yeah, for sure. As they come through the final couple of corners now, getting ready to take the green for the first race of the evening. 2 races, remember, so these drivers are probably going to be maybe a bit more passive than we'll see later in the night, but still they're going to be wanting to fight for every single position. As coming out of this right-hander now, it's going to be Ian Brown from Mesa Community College leading the field to green. He's in the blue and red car, and his outside, that's going to be Jake Cummings from Wingate University as Ian Brown puts the foot to the floor, and we are green here from Rudskogen Motorsenter. Ian Brown gets a great jump, and he's going to look to take the lead into turn one as Jake Cummings right behind him slots right in and hopes to hold on to that second position, and does, as behind them they go side by side. That's the 23 car of Andrew Williams holding off the challenger of Thomas Toomey in the 166 right now, Josh.
Yeah, that's the battle there for fourth position. I think third position as those drivers try and march on. So looks like, yeah, fourth there in your screen. Drexel University trying to get far away from this. Of course, Drexel University and Timothy Williams also looking maybe at the land of opportunity if those two get a little bit sideways. Oh, very wide right there, Drexel and Diamond, but he'll have the ability to carry that momentum. He's got to run away from Drew Williams now up the corners into the right, left, right side of this racetrack. Very wide. Ooh, that's not the line right there, Matt. So very wide right there from Clemson. Virginia also sideways in that instant. Timothy Williams and Drexel in that car looking to the inside, but now coming back. Virginia back on the march forward, so they'll have an opportunity to get settled up here, but back up at the lead. Wingate University looking to make an early challenge here, and again, look how hard it is, Matt, to make that pass around. There's just no straightaway to get a run.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be important to really stick right to the back bumper of the car you're behind through this kind of technical, tight middle sector. And as you come around these long sweeping corners, you want to get your foot to the floor as fast as you can, and I think that's where the passing is going to be made tonight. It's going to be all about corner exit and really maximizing your speed coming off the corner. As Ian Brown crosses the stripe for lap one, he's in the lead right now. The gap 0.8 seconds, and right behind them, Alexander Diamond for Drexel University as they come back into turn one.
Yeah, there you go. Coming around the corner, Wingate is continuing to be on the march. Excuse me. Looks like Virginia, though, Matt, maybe not catching up as well as we thought, because I would have expected a little bit more pace out of that machine at this point. But there's a lot of time left. We are currently just beginning lap 2 of 10 here on the first heat, and Thomas Toomey working through that corner. Look at those cars, Matt, bounce through that corner. I don't know if that's what you love to see. I mean, it is a tricky corner, but these cars do tend to bounce. They don't always like to settle, just as the drivers would like down in that corner.
Yeah, and I think if you all remember back to when this car was first added to iRacing, his wingate there goes really wide on the corner. That's going to give Alexander Diamond a chance to attack down here into this right-hand hairpin corner. Deep on the brakes, both of them go. Looks like Wingate's really under some pressure now. As it looks like Alexander Diamond gets a little bit loose coming off the corner. That's going to cause him to lose tons of time, and maybe even Andrew Williams is now taking a sniff, thinking he might have a podium position in hand here in this first race. But Diamond recovers. It looks like Jake Cummings was wide there again coming through that corner. So a lot of these drivers having trouble really on the exit of the corners, getting loose, maybe going off the track. It's going to be interesting to see how the off tracks come into play here if this continues to develop over the course of the race, as Diamond goes wide again coming onto the front stretch.
Yeah, and as we say, these shenanigans, Ian Brown has just set his fastest lap of the race. The lap times will go down as we have these cars come to us. It takes about 3 or 4 laps here for these Toyotas to do that. Yeah, Ian Brown at Mesa Community College looking quite good now, and Jake Cummings actually, having to watch that internet issue as well. We did see last week at Zolder, Matt, that Cummings actually had to reset his router in between both events. So stewards will be looking at that, and you hope that it's not going to be a router repeat there for our second place driver from Wingate University. But looking all good right now, just a blink or two momentarily as expected. And Drexel University, you talked about Alex Diamond getting spread out. Yeah, a little bit of ways in front and a little bit of ways behind, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. As they come through this really technical middle sector now, it looks like maybe Drew Williams really just trying to hold on to the back of Alexander Diamond right now, but Ian Brown at the front has clean track ahead of him and behind him right now, as that gap is currently sitting at 2 seconds. Really an incredibly fast lap time from Ian Brown as well, as he's sitting a second faster per lap than the next quickest car on track, which looks to be Andrew Williams right now, who's in fourth. So we'll see if Andrew Williams can get back up there and maybe challenge, but it's going to be tough to do with 2 cars between him and Ian Brown.
Yeah, that is, and you see there they go. It is going to be a little bit tricky to scrunch these cars up, as they do not draft very well. It's going to be up to the drivers to find a little bit more pace at various positions on the track. I see that Thomas Toomey has really dropped off his interval to Clemson up ahead in Andrew Williams, looking about 5 seconds right now, just as they cross the line. So that's maybe not what I expected in this one, Matt.
Yeah, and as you were talking, it looks like Jake Cummings really closed up to Ian Brown here as they run down to turn three. Turn three, a very fast sweeping right-hander that almost connects into turn four here. This is turn three here, coming around the mountain and hard on the brakes into turn four to kind of scrub off the speed. As it looks like Jake Cummings almost made a look to the inside there of the turn four, but they come to this middle sector here. It's going to be tough to make an overtake. This is turn five here, quickly followed by 6 and 7. Ian Brown really on the defensive right now. He's under a lot of pressure. I'm wondering where this came from for Ian Brown. Is he just slowing up, or is Jake Cummings just found a little bit of pace in that GR86 car?
Yeah, not sure, but it's on right now. That 007 is looking all over the track, trying to make that car work. And a little bit shallow right there. Can he get it done? Yeah, that's going to push him a little bit wide, but everybody's staying within track limits there on corner exit. This part of the track is got to be one of my favorites, Matt, as they come off onto the rumble strips. Actually not taking much rumble strip at all right there, but you want to come on, carry so much pace into this sector as we see Drew Williams on the top of your screen doing so. Come around the corner, and all these cars, you actually big wide right there from Clemson back on the rumble strip, and here you go, power down across probably the only straightaway on this racetrack. I guess there is a straightaway coming up in the first sector.
Yeah, this track is pretty tricky. You know, it's not something you really expect. It looks like Jake Cummings there, a little bit loose and spins coming out of turn one. Jake Cummings, an unfortunate mistake, taking maybe a little too much curb there for the Wingate University machine, and that's going to cost him dearly as he was chasing down Ian Brown. I'm sure that's exactly what Ian Brown wanted and the opposite of what Jake Cummings wanted. So we'll see how this race develops now that some of the challengers to Ian Brown has kind of fallen by the wayside right now as Alexander Diamond looks to mount a charge here on Ian Brown.
Yeah, Ian is again got a pretty good advantage right there, running a little bit wide. But back on at the march is Wingate University, and I see another purple lap there that last time by for that driver in Mesa Community College. Drew Williams is trying to work forward, but these drivers continue to pull away from the University of Virginia. That is just not what the Cavaliers wanted to see. But right now, actually, it looks like, yeah, that spin did not help at all. That's another 10-second interval. So, yeah, Matt, these drivers now spread out quite nicely, we'll say, and everybody trying to look out the windshield. We've seen this a couple times, maybe in a couple F3 races that are official. It's very hard just to gain time, but you're not really being chased by anyone either.
Yeah, for sure. I think this track doesn't necessarily help itself to that kind of racing. Obviously, you get tracks like Watkins Glen in cars like Formula 4 or some of the 10 top cars where you can really draft up to the back of the car in front of you, even if you don't have such a great exit out of some, like turn 1, for example, or through the S's, right? The straightaways are just so long that it gives you the opportunity to catch back up. But I think a track like this where you kind of have do have two sort of long straightaways in the end and the start of the track, but in between there, it's super tight, twisty sections that really can break up the pack. So we'll see what Alexander Diamond can do here. He's currently about 1.5 seconds back. Pretty good lap time previously. Looks like his fastest lap is about half a second behind right now. The gap currently sitting at 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, that seems to be the move there, 1.4 seconds or so. So, not sure what Mesa, their pace maybe has jumped up and down a little bit, but we'll have to see what happens there. The 49 trying to continue to close down. Jake Cummings actually now 14 seconds back, and Drew Williams up there in the middle. So we'll see if Drew Williams can make any progress forward. That's the Clemson machine who wants to continue to get some good points tonight. The opportunity is there to do so, currently on the final step of the podium. But Drexel University, this could be a fun one if Diamond, the points leader, can just pull that together. Of course, Drexel University, the school leader as well, and Drexel has put on an absolute clinic, Matt, all season long, fielding 2 and 3 cars each race. They're very consistent in their results.
Yeah, looking like that last time by, Alexander Diamond was about half a second quicker than Ian Brown, and also about 0.8 of a second than Andrew Williams behind. So Ian Brown is slowly but surely marching his way towards that back of that Mesa Community College car, and I think We saw in qualifying that he had the lap time to get up there. Maybe he just couldn't put a quick enough lap time to be on the front row. But in race pace, Alexander Diamond definitely has the speed. We'll see if he can make the pass, though, as we're currently on lap 7 of 10 here in this first race tonight.
Working lap 7 of 10. You had mentioned the incident points, and I don't know that there's anything that stands out just yet. We're far enough along in the race. A lot of these drivers have some fouls to give. 13 points being the limit for these drivers here in the series, and the most 5 incident points for Jacob Cummings from Wingate University, and for Virginia's Thomas Toomey. Everybody else hanging out at 1 or 0 incident points. Pretty casual race, and again, Matt, we said with fewer cars on the track, everybody coming back from their holiday travel here in the U.S. Yeah, it's a little bit more room on track, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like Timothy Williams was able to get past Thomas Toomey as they come down into this turn 10 hairpin here. And I don't know if Jake Cummings spun again, because I could have sworn he was between Andrew Williams and this battle between Williams and Toomey before. Were you able to see, did you see anything on track to indicate maybe he spun again, or did he just fall that far behind in his first spin we saw earlier?
No, I think it was because he's now actually scored at the bottom of the tower, so he's lost out again, and his lap times do reflect a few anomalies right there. So, yeah, probably a first heat to forget there if you're Wingate University, but that's the time to get it out of our systems, Matt. It is a tricky track. We talk about routinely these cars are a bit lazy in the way that they transfer weight, and they take curbs, and they don't give you much feedback. By the time you're in trouble, it's too late and you don't know about it. But yeah, nonetheless, that's probably going to be exacerbated here at this track, where there's a lot of transient moves, quick left, right, lefts, a lot of flow right here, and this car does not always like that. So we'll have to see how these drivers get on. But yeah, I don't think that's the last spin that we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, it looks like Thomas Toomey here has slowly been improving his lap times over the course of this race. Now he's about half a second behind. Timothy Williams is right on the back bumper as Williams goes a little bit wide there in what I believe is turn 8 as they come out of the corner into turn 9 now. Toomey right on the back bumper of Williams. He goes a duck to the inside here, coming to this tight hairpin of turn 10. Late on the brakes, it looks like Thomas Toomey is going to dive to the apex and make the pass for the 4th position. But it looks like Timothy Williams has something to say. He's going to fight this one back with the over-under move. A fantastic move from Williams there, but can he hold on around the outside of turn 12? It looks like he can't quite get there. But it's going to look like Toomey's able to hold on to that 4th position for now. The 166 car from Virginia has made another move here.
Yeah, Virginia marching up, and 11 seconds to their ACC rival, Andrew Williams, up the road. We'll see if Clemson has any trouble there, but I think the bigger one is keeping an eye on that gap up front. Continues to hang around 1 to 2 seconds. I don't know that there's anything new there. It looks like the Mesa Community College has this in hand, barring any excitement from that crew. But yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Ian Brown, we saw earlier that Alex Williams was kind of slowly marching his way towards Ian Brown. Maybe Brown recognized that and started putting a bit more distance between himself and Diamond. I think maybe there was a mistake in there that we just didn't see, but I think Brown had some pace to give, and he saw Diamond catching up and was willing to give that pace back and stretch those legs. Right now, close battle on track. You're watching between Thomas Toomey, that 166 car in the white, and Timothy Williams, the 86 car from Drexel University. We just saw Toomey make the pass this time 1 lap ago. We'll see if Williams has anything to say and if he can make this pass back to the 4th spot.
Yeah, we're not sure what Drexel can do. Timothy Williams, though, putting up a really good fight here with Toomey. A bit deep from Toomey. Virginia, that's not the fast line right there, but Drexel on the outside, and the outside is not where you want to be right here. The track moves back to the left. Several left-handers here. These two continue to battle, and Wingate University actually catches them as this goes on right there. The player 3 is joining the chat. But Drexel University moving in here, he's going to try and get the job done, but he's got probably 1 more lap to do it. You can see lap 9, so we're going to be coming to the flag. This time by, it's the white flag for all these drivers.
Right, yeah, for sure. White flag with 1 lap to go. Ian Brown has a 1.7-second advantage at the front of the field over Alexander Diamond from Drexel, but his Drexel teammate Timothy Williams currently chasing Thomas Toomey from Virginia. About 5/10 of a second between them is Andrew Williams, kind of in no man's land right now. Way ahead of this battle for the back three positions, way too far back for the battle for the front two positions right now, as it looks like Toomey here is able to stretch out a little bit, and Cummings might have a chance here to get that 5th position from Williams.
Yeah, and down into the corner, Cummings is going to have a look here. Wilms giving up a little bit of ground here. He's in the middle, but he'll have to make that maneuver. Out to the right, Wingate University is moving that car around, almost chasing it. I don't know if that's where he wanted to place it, but here we go, missing that curb as well. In fact, both drivers wide. Timothy Wilms, the only one who made the corner right there. Virginia's going to move off the corner down into this downhill section. Who can be latest on the brakes? Wingate University not right here, but a little bit later, I think they'll have a chance.
Yeah, it's through turn 10 now. Only a couple corners left as Wilms way too deep. That's going to give Cummings the position almost for free there, as a mistake from Wilms will cost him that 5th spot right now. As they come to the final couple of corners right now, it's going to be Toomey, followed by Cummings and Wilms. That's Virginia, Wingate, and Virginia, Wingate, and Drexel, as Ian Brown has crossed the line to take the race 1 victory. Alexander Diamond's going to follow behind him by a couple seconds to finish 2nd. Andrew Williams will come home in 3rd for Clemson, and that's going to put 4th place car of Toomey across the line now, with Williams and Cummings following right behind to round out race 1.
Yeah, that was the first heat. These drivers now with a little bit of chance to hang out and maybe see what they can learn from that. Pretty tricky to manage. Obviously, the racing. These cars had a little bit of room to maneuver, but these drivers will certainly have something to think about. Where do you go in some of those scenarios where the track is just so dynamic and it's changing all the time. I actually didn't see a lot of cars after the kind of exiting the first sector where it goes down into the long left-hander. I did not see a lot of drivers attacking that curb like I thought I might.
Yeah, maybe it's just because these drivers, they were a bit spread out, so maybe there's no risk reward there, because there is no reward at certain points in this race. But I expect to see a bit more argy-bargy from these drivers coming into race 2. Pole field inverted because not enough drivers reach the Tim for the invert tonight. But it's going to be Timothy Wilms will start on the pole for race 2, followed by Jake Cummings on the outside pole in the 2nd position. Toomey will start 3rd. Andrew Williams will start 4th for this next race. Alex Diamond will start 5th, and Ian Brown will start 6th. But it looks like Andrew Williams here is trying to find himself way back into the garage area as the cameras are watching now.
Yeah, Drew Williams having a bit of amusement. But, Matt, the opportunity now to speak with our Heat 1 winner, Ian Brown at Mesa Community College. Congratulations, Ian. Looked like there was a little bit more space on track out there today as everybody comes back from the holidays.
Yeah, it was nice. I could just kind of run my race.
Yeah, Ian Brown, I think we saw you have a bit of the gap between yourself and Alex Diamond was kind of shrinking and growing and then shrinking again towards the end of that race. Did you have a little bit of fuel or a little bit of gas left in that tank, a little pace to give in that race, or were you just worrying about keeping it on track there?
Yeah, I was just trying not to get an off track because I knew he was close enough where a slowdown would, maybe make the difference. But I knew that I didn't need to set a blistering lap, so just kind of took it easy at the end.
That seems like a pretty good, solid strategy here for this one. So we'll let you get back to it. But congratulations on a Heat 1 win, and very commanding performance there, Ian. Congrats.
All right, thanks. Hopefully I'll talk to you again tonight.
Yeah, and that was Ian Brown from Mesa Community College. I would not be surprised, Matt, if we did talk to him later tonight. I'll say there was a lot of pace in that car, but it just seemed kind of effortless, from that driver to have so much pace.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he got a great start at the start of the race there, coming to the green flag, and I think he was really able to extend his advantage and really just stretch his legs. And once he got out in clean air and he didn't have to worry about the fight behind him, he could really manage the race to the best he could. And I think he did a fantastic job in that first race. But it's going to be an entirely different second race starting at the back of the pack. And I think it's going to be fun to watch because we know Jake Cummings does have a little bit of pace in that car, but can he keep it on the track? And I think that's the question that everybody's going to be asking or wondering in the second race as he starts on the outside pole in race 2.
Yeah, these drivers right here, with Drexel especially, is going to be pretty fun to watch. But yeah, I think that we'll see with the invert, we'll see some drivers come forward. I just suspect Ian Brown will have a little bit of work to do getting back up the field, Matt, because we saw him race against Drew Williams, Jake Cummings. Those two drivers put up a lot of fight. Jake Cummings, I think his work is behind the wheel. He's got to make sure that car is pointed straight for 10 laps. That seemed to be his biggest setback for his Wingate car there during that strategy. So, it's going to be, every driver's going to have their own experience in this one, and a very fun track to compete at and to try and get sorted out, because there is so much technical here. Everything's an elevation change. The weight transfer is very difficult to get a hold of, and again, these cars not always giving the maximum amount of feedback back to these drivers.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the challenges of this series is, we're so used to the past couple seasons running Formula 4 cars, GT3 cars, which have really responsive aero and suspension, but with these 10 top GR86 cars, really there's so much playing. Your suspension is so soft, it almost feels like you're driving a road car, where you turn and you obviously turn quicker than you would in a road car, but just compared to what some of these drivers have maybe driven in recent seasons, it's a totally different world. And I think we've seen that some drivers have been able to adapt really well to it, coming from things like open wheels or GT3 cars, and some drivers haven't been able to adapt as well. So it's going to be fun to watch the second race as maybe Ian Brown and a couple of other drivers who finished towards the top of the timing tower in race 1 kind of have to work their way through the field to get back to the front now.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Matt. These drivers now getting gridded for this race coming up. I'll be interested to see if Drew Williams is able to make the most of an opportunity here. He's there in third or fourth position. He's on the outside, so that'll be fourth position, and with an opportunity to get in. Something that we did see on that first race start, Matt, was the two outside cars. We know that those two drivers were pretty good associates, and so I wonder if they were having a little bit of communication between, because they did keep their momentum up around the outside, get a very good start. This track is unique in that it has a right-hander that is the final corner and then turns into a left-hander. So yeah, if you are thinking you'll have your revs up, you'll have a little bit more momentum, both in that car and in that powertrain, by the time you're on equal footing around that corner off the exit with your opponent. And yeah, you can gain, much like we see on the NASCAR side, on oval side, sometimes you can gain a pretty good advantage that way.
Yeah, Josh, make a really good point there actually about the last corner being a right-hander and the first corner being a left-hander. You don't think about, especially in road racing, for rolling restarts, you don't think too much about maybe where your position is relative to inside or outside, but if you start around the outside of turn 13 on this track, you're going to have the inside for turn 1, and same way the other way around. Inside for 13 is outside of 1. So really getting that good momentum from the inside on turn 13 is going to be very important for these drivers as they go up to turn 1, as I think it's going to be a fun race here as Ian Brown scrubs those tires, gets the heat into them, gets some grip, as it's going to be Timothy Williams for Drexel University in that black and yellow car leading the field to green here tonight.
Yeah, and that kind of proves the point. We see Ian, you're right, he's getting the most out of those tires right now, trying to expedite the process to get that car to come alive. We know it takes a while here in this race, but the big part is we can watch that car turn around and kind of jump all over its tires, and it reminds me of Top Gear testing the Fiesta ST when it was coming out, kind of that 2014, 2016 model year, where they said, look, it rolls over all the way to the outside and it picks up that inside rear tire. It looks so fun, but it looks fun, but yeah, not all the input is there, and so that's what these drivers are going to have to fight tonight. But the fight will be there on the front row. Thomas Toomey is going to look to make his opportunity pay off there on the outside. He's going to have an opportunity when he goes into that first corner. It's that left-hander, Matt, and Thomas Toomey's going to have an opportunity to get that done. And then Drexel University, but all these cars here in the top 6 could be very exciting on this race start.
Yeah, as the pace car leaves the field here through the final couple of corners right now, coming through turn 12 right now, this left-hander, and then this right-hander coming here all the way around, almost pretty much a giant circle with this final corner. Reminds me of that turn 2 in the Shanghai International Circuit. As Timothy Williams now will lead the field to green as the pace car is off and in the pits on the outside. In the blue car, that's Wingate University for Jake Cummings, and Drexel University, Timothy Williams is on the gas now, and they are green here from Rudskogen for the second time tonight. It is bumper to bumper. It looks like a super speedway race going down into turn 1, Josh.
They're pushing him down into turn 1, 2 wide right now, 3 wide. Oh, early on the brakes on the inside. He's going to be stuck on the apex. Yeah, no surprise there. Around goes Wingate University, avoiding action by Clemson University. They'll have to give that position back and hold up Virginia in doing so. Mesa Community College simply know where to go. Drexel University remains on the outside right there. I think that the 23 has some time to give back. He can do so in this corner. He'll have the inside, but he's going to be slow. These drivers know that. They want to work around the outside. It's all on right here in this corner, Matt. Yeah, that's Drew Williams. He's got to give that back in that 23 machine on the inside right there. Coming back down is the 003, who has to keep his nose clear of Virginia back in that corner. Looks like Drew Williams did his best to stay in the race, giving that time back, but Virginia to the lead right now, Matt. 003, that is Mesa Community College, trying to hold off on the inside. It looks like for the time being, they've got the position.
Yeah, chaos in the first corner there. It just looks like too many cars into one corner, and that's just never going to work out when you try to go 3 wide right into the apex. And I think the big loser, Jake Cummings, unfortunate. Really, I think he didn't have anywhere else to go. There was just too many cars into one corner, as it looks like Ian Brown has successfully navigated past Andrew Williams, and he tried his best to hold off Ian Brown, but could not hold on any longer as Ian Brown marches his way to the front of the field now as Thomas Toomey valiantly defends that lead position right now, coming through the last corner now. It looks like Andrew Williams gets the nose to the inside of Ian Brown there, but that's going to put him way to the outside on corner exit, and Ian Brown's going to tuck right in behind Thomas Toomey, and they're nose to tail heading out of turn 1 again, Josh.
Yeah, there they go. This is the line right there. Not much drafting in these cars, but doesn't matter. They are nose to tail all the way to the outside as Drew Williams covering off. Oh, big move. Everybody's moving under braking, I think. Mesa Community College is going to keep that car in line. Yeah, you can see these cars, the gaps close and open as everybody tries to get on the gas, but that right-hander is very difficult, Matt, to pick when to be on the correct timing to be on the gas, get out, don't want to push wide. There's a lot of off tracks to be had right there. But around the outside, Mesa Community College, Thomas Toomey doing his best defense, trying to push that car wide, and you can see those Toyotas sitting, bouncing their way through the corner. Not a damper to be found on any one of these machines, but Clemson University is sizing up this match up front, and it's all on right here.
Yeah, you really emphasize it there. That bouncing insane for some of these GR86 cars. It looks like Thomas Toomey is defending a push here from Ian Brown. Ian Brown had a nose to the inside, but Thomas Toomey quick to cut that one off right now as they head down to turn 10. Thomas Toomey doing a very good job in this second race so far. We'll see how he can keep it up. If he goes wide here coming out of turn 10, that's going to give Ian Brown the opportunity, but he is on the outside of the next couple of turns here as he just tucks right back in underneath that rear wing of Toomey, coming through the last couple of corners here again for the second lap. Toomey still in the lead. He's done a very good job so far as Ian Brown is trying to make a move here really deep on the brakes for that 003 car from Mesa Community College. So Thomas Toomey's probably getting a little nervous now, seeing how deep into the brakes Ian Brown is going. But to the outside goes Ian Brown, that red and blue Mesa Community College car, bumping side to side down through the start-finish straight for lap 3 here. Thomas Toomey still on the inside for turn 1. They were pretty much rubbing doors all the way down the front stretch, and Toomey will hold on to the lead through turn 1, Josh.
Yeah, Thomas Toomey, though, did cut that corner pretty significantly. He's got a slowdown that he's got to give back. He's going to try it in this corner, and you can expect Mesa Community College to slow up, to catch up, close that gap right there. But yeah, that was going to be tough. I don't know about holding everybody down like that. Pretty aggressive there from Mesa, maybe unorthodox and aggressive. In the same move right there, but doesn't matter. The 166, yeah, he's trying to give that time back. Now Mesa is alongside, and the 166 has given that time back. He's going to try and focus on the lead now, and Ian Brown gets to play defense. And I think we can expect the same level of aggression from Virginia here as he tries to make his way around the leader and regain that point. But you can see right there, purple lap from Mesa Community College.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Oh, it looks like Thomas Toomey's going to take a look down at the inside, right on the rear bumper of that Mesa Community College car, but can't quite get there. Cavalier's going to have to settle for second, still coming through the next sector. But I think you mentioned it, Thomas Toomey and Ian Brown were side by side, rubbing doors through the front the start-finish straight last time by, and I think, you know, Thomas Toomey didn't appreciate that, and I think he didn't cut him any slack when he's taking the corner there in turn one. But now Thomas Toomey, there's about a second between himself and Ian Brown right now, and I think Toomey's going to have to start looking in the rear view mirror more than he's going to have to look up the windshield right now. As across the stripe now, Ian Brown was quickest that time by. He was about half a second quicker, almost, take that back. He was about a second and a half almost quicker than Thomas Toomey that lap, so big gap developing at the front, but now Thomas Toomey in a fight for second and third.
Yeah, and I'll take this time, Matt, to point out as these three cars compete, that fourth car in line is Drexel University. That's the 49 car of Alex Diamond, who's just set the purple. He's stolen the fastest lap of this race, and he's got his sights set on first Clemson, then Virginia. But that's going to be a car to watch as we get, and very wide from both drivers. Will there be room? No, there's not. Around goes Drexel and Clemson that we were talking about, the 23 also involved in that. And yeah, I don't think there's a surprise there, Matt. All those drivers trying to get in and cut back, and what do? Nobody expected anybody to be out that wide.
Yeah, I think Thomas Toomey kind of started that whole incident. He got really wide. It almost looked like Andrew Williams pretty much followed him into the corner doing the exact same thing, and I think Diamond saw his chance. He tried to take it with both hands and just ended up getting into the side of Williams and causing them to both spin out. So unfortunate for both of them, but I think the person who really loves this is Thomas Toomey now, who's got a massive gap between himself and Timothy Williams from Drexel right now, who's currently sitting in the third position. There's a gap about 2.5 seconds at the moment. Gap is extending a little bit as Jake Cummings here looks at the inside of Timothy Williams around the final corner, and that 007 car is going to move himself up into the third spot. Great move from Wingett there. You don't see moves like that very often in the final corner, but you see Drew Williams in the background there. He's going to try to make up some time and see if he can get himself on the podium here before the end of this race.
Yeah, and the incident counts are up in this one, but the running order currently, very quickly, Ian Brown, Thomas Toomey, Jake Cummings has moved up to third after his own turn one incident. Timothy Williams, Drew Williams, finally Alex Diamond. The stewards actually citing Diamond there as a 15-second penalty. Matt, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear the reasoning behind that. I understand you'd say it's their responsibility to pass safely, though. A pretty extreme scenario right there going into that corner.
Yeah, it's hard to see given the camera angles we have given to us tonight. Not too many views available to replay that incident. But it did look like there just wasn't a whole lot of room there for Alexander Diamond to squeeze his car into that gap. And I think that corner specifically, it's very easy to get a little wide and kind of cut back across, and I think as a driver trying to make the overtake, you should be aware that that's a possibility. It almost looked like Diamond wasn't making the corner in any manner, because he went door to door right at the apex, so it looked like his momentum would have carried him right through the outside of the corner and off the track potentially. So stewards made the decision. Alexander Diamond, 15-second penalty, so he probably won't be too happy about that. He'll probably say that Williams cut back on him, but that decision, I don't think it's gonna affect the outcome of this race too much, given Alexander Diamond has kind of fallen back to sixth now.
Yeah, Diamond gonna have to work his way forward. The other car with a 15-second penalty, the 166 of Virginia. So if those two cars want to come together, then maybe they can have a race of their own. But yeah, Virginia right there, actually. Maybe another one. You know, what do you want to do here? Virginia was in the middle of that sandwich there on lap one, entering turn one, but got the wrap on the stick. So, anyways, I will say, Matt, definitively, Mesa Community College for the second race in a row is opening that gap up 3 seconds now. It was hanging around there for a little bit, so it's kind of stabilized now, but that is going to be a big advantage for Ian Brown. He's hanging out there at the front. He's lap 6 right now for that driver, so just crossed halfway and trying to come around and complete that lap number 6, and looking quite good for Ian Brown and Mesa.
Yeah, Ian Brown's probably looking back in his mirrors right now and wondering where the hell is everybody, but he hasn't really seen the chaos that's gone on behind him. There's been Rex spins, all sorts of incidents behind him as he just cruises on right now at the front of the field, gap now at 3.5 seconds. So Thomas Toomey, with the penalty, of course, so he's probably not going to be fighting for any podium positions, but that really puts the fight for the last podium position on the shoulders of Timothy Williams and Andrew Williams right now. Drew Williams about 2.5 seconds back, but his last lap time was about half a second slower than Williams, so we'll see if he can catch up to Williams here. There's going to be 4 laps remaining here at the stripe, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we'll see what Drew Williams can do here. I think he can get there. I think he's had the pace as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. He's about 0.8 of a second quicker than Timothy Williams that last time by.
Yeah, speaking of Drexel, Alex Diamond had looks like that lap took a purple lap. So the fastest lap of the race, of this race, has gone back to Drexel, and the fight still in Drexel and Diamond. He's trying to come back at Drew Williams right now. That gap 1.7 has been dropping a little bit. We'll see if those two can have a squabble before we end this one here. Lap 7 of 10 currently underway, and Matt, that gap at the front up to 4 seconds now. I'll say it again. I think Mesa Community College feeling pretty good about this one.
Yeah, and one thing that's also decreasing is the gap between second and third right now. Obviously, Toomey has a penalty, 15 seconds, but I don't know if Jake Cummings knows that there's a penalty for the 166 car right now, so he might try to make that pass on track, and if he tries to do it, they'll be there to watch it for sure, as Andrew Williams has closed the gap to about 1.5 seconds on Timothy Williams for potentially the last podium position once all the penalties round themselves out, as it looks like Diamond here is really pushing hard, going off the track in turn 10, Josh.
Yeah, he was, and you can do that. These races are not going to affect the safety rating here on iRacing for these drivers. So, if you can run wide and gain a little bit of advantage doing so, you might want to do that because it's crunch time now. You want to catch your rivals.
Yeah, for sure. The gap for Drew Williams right now down to under 1 second now. He set a lap time that was almost 1.3 seconds quicker than Timothy Williams, so he's really sniffing blood in the water right now. Jake Cummings has also gotten his gap to Thomas Toomey to under 2 seconds. So 2 fights brewing throughout the field right now as they come out of turn 2 down to this kind of front straightaway down past the Rocky Mountains on the right-hand side of Rudskogen, Norway here as they get down to turn 3. The gap now only half a second between Williams and Wilms. Say that 3 times fast.
No, actually, I'll pass on that, Matt. But down here, it is heating up because Clemson has looked up a couple times in Drexel and has been following for a little while. So he's probably got an idea of where he wants to place that car, where he wants to make that move. Alex Diamond from Drexel as well, continuing to kind of close in on this, but Drew Williams kind of maintaining that gap. But to continue maintaining that gap, he's going to have to make a pass on track here. So. Clemson University is looking around, trying to size up their prey as we get in. It looks like maybe that right-hander coming up, that might be an opportunity that Drew is thinking about right now.
Yeah, for sure. As they come through this last sector of the track, I think this is going to be his best overtaking opportunity here potentially. As he already makes the move down towards the inside into the penultimate corner of the lap. A great move from Drew Williams, an opportunistic one at that, as he moves himself up from 5th to 4th right now, and with the incoming penalty to Thomas Toomey, that could be a podium position, as it looks like Williams' Drexel teammate and Alexander Diamond is going to try to make a move now on the outside here, going down into turn 1. That's going to be Williams on the inside, Diamond on the outside right now, as it looks like Williams is going to hold on to that position. He's the 86 car in front right now, and behind him Alexander Diamond in the 49 as they start lap 9 here. 2 laps to go here, as Jake Cummings is now within half a second of Thomas Toomey.
Yeah, here's a pass, and going on track. I think there's an opportunity here for Wingate. Toomey probably been working those tires pretty hard on that Toyota. It's just not like that either. But the 166 car has some defense to do. It's pretty easy through the S's right here, but it gets technical after that. There's an opportunity to stick a nose in. And Wingate University really tight right there, very wide right there, and now that car coming back, load the suspension up on the inside, and everybody's wide off that corner, but Wingate gets it back in line. I think that's an off track, Matt, but no slowdown there. That's critical.
Yeah, I think a slowdown for Cummings there would have pretty much put a pass here out of the cards for the final couple laps of this race. It looks like Wilms has potentially kept within touching distance of Andrew Williams right now, and he's also holding off his Drexel teammate, but we saw a move down here into this corner last time by from Drew Williams. We'll see if maybe Williams can do it as Drew did last time. This excuse me, flustered there for a second as we're coming to the start of lap 10 here momentarily, as Wilms still in 5th position as Diamond tries to make a move to the inside here.
Yeah, Drexel on Drexel. We'll see what happens here. You know, I wondered, Matt, if the Drexel car up front, Wilms, he would kind of hold up Williams just a little bit there and let the second Drexel car get into play a little bit more, but you know, not the case there. But that's okay. I think these cars have been pretty consistent. And yeah, back up. Jake Cummings now 0.7 is the gap up there, and so that battle, you know, it's almost there, but we're on the white flag lap now. I think Virginia has a pretty good opportunity if they keep this one on track.
Yeah, and it looks like Jake Cummings made a mistake there coming into the corner, got a little bit wide, and that's going to cost him some time right now as Thomas Toomey continues to hold off the 2nd position through the final couple of corners here. But at the front of the field right now, it's still Ian Brown. A dominant performance from him tonight. 2 race victories here as it looks like Jake Cummings goes wide again, using up all those off tracks. He's not going to lose them after tonight, so you might as well use them. As through turn 10 now, it's Thomas Toomey for Virginia in the 2nd position still.
Yeah, that's exactly what is going on. The leader, Mesa Community College, still up front, but this is the battle on track for 2nd place. Who's going to be on this left side of the podium? Looks like Virginia's going to come around the left side, come around the right side, and here across the line, I think we saw Mesa. Now we're going to watch the University of Virginia there. He's going to cross the line. And yeah, it looks like the router barely hanging on there for Mesa Community College, but Virginia crossing the line via Thomas Toomey, and 3rd place is going to come home to Wingate University, courtesy of Jake Cummings there.
Yeah, Andrew Williams coming home in the 4th position now, able to win out in that battle in front of the 2 Drexel teammates as Alexander Diamond will pass his Drexel teammate for 5th, and then Timothy Wilms rounds out your field tonight, Josh. 2nd race, pretty exciting, a lot of action going on throughout the field as our drivers going side by side, incidents up and down the grid. It was fun to watch there, Josh.
Yeah, that was a good one, especially there at the start, man. That was so tricky. Look, you know, it's yeah, we could talk about it for a while, but there on turn 1 really shook up the field. Wingate coming out the loser. I got to say that's the best recovery drive I think we've seen. Is Wingate coming back and doing a really good job there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're going to be able to hear from Jake Cummings here momentarily as our drivers get out of their cars and get ready to head up into the broadcast booth and interview us tonight and to see, kind of get their perspective on the race tonight. It was definitely an interesting one, kind of a smaller field, so maybe a bit more space out there once the race got settled, but the start of the race, there's still drivers all across the grid trying to make up positions.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we saw right there. So those drivers getting set up, and you know, it was fun. We knew it was going to be a little bit light on cars in this one, Matt, but especially in that 2nd heat there in the opening and towards the end was really exciting to see that. But I think we've got a chance to talk to our 3rd place driver here from Wingate, Jake Cummings. Jake, congrats on P3. It was a recovery drive there in the 2nd heat. Tell us about going down there into turn 1.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there, to be honest. Because I had the lead pretty nicely. I'm not sure what Timothy was doing. I think he was trying to get out of the way of everyone or something, but he ended up making a bit of a problem, and then Thomas just, you know, from like 2 or 3 car lengths back, just totally outbroke himself. And if I wasn't there, he would have spun out on his own, but luckily I guess my car saved him. So I ended up spinning myself, but if I can see it correctly, I'm pretty sure he got a penalty for that, so he drops off the podium, and I'm actually P2. If he's car 166, that is, then yeah.
Yeah, Jake, we saw a good 2nd race from you, but that 1st race didn't quite go your way, a spin early on and maybe potentially 2nd. Is that playing into your mind throughout the 2nd race, just trying to keep the car under the tires and trying to keep it on the road?
Yeah, I mean, it does. Just, I mean, I've been away for the last 3 weeks. I haven't done any sim racing or anything, and my first laps were the practice session here, so it felt really a bit alien to me, and I was having to get used to everything again. And I was being really wary of everywhere you can get off tracks and then slowdowns so easily. I wasn't really having many problems with spinning though, so it was kind of weird because I broke about the same place I was always breaking, but I guess it was just because I was behind Ian at the time. Just kind of I lost it, and then I kind of had saved it, and then I made like one last input to try to make sure I'd saved it, and that just sent me the other way around. So I guess a bit of an overcorrection, and it does sort of get at you, but at the end of the day, you kind of just gotta get back in there and just not hope that doesn't happen again, but uh, just be better safe than sorry, I guess, and drive within the limits of the car, which can be pretty unpredictable in these things. So it rewards patience for sure.
Yeah, I think we saw that. So, Jake, we'll ask you your favorite question again. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to here after this event?
I did miss that question, yeah. Dang. Good question. I just got back from dog sitting. These three, well, two of them were bears and one of them was a rat. And they kept me up at night. I guess I'll thank them just for making me appreciate coming back here a bit more than I would have otherwise. But yeah, I'll thank the dogs for sure.
No problem. I relate. I just came back from a number of days with a couple dogs named the Bumpus Hounds. So I can relate. Congrats, especially on tonight, recovery drive. And yes, up on top of the podium, the stewards working out those penalties, but you're correct. I think it's going to be a good result for yourself and for Wingate.
Yeah, thank you very much, and that is this is very funny from you as well. And thank you for the production and everything you guys do once again.
And so, Matt, that was Jake Cummings from Wingate University. Yeah, probably sounds a little bit worn out just from trying to manage that race and bring that car back. But now an opportunity to talk to the other driver on the other side of the podium. And Thomas, congratulations. It's P2 on the scoreboard, and the stewards are scribbling away furiously. But congrats. It was pace all night. A lot more pace, I think, from your Virginia car in the second heat than the first heat.
Thank you. Yeah, I hadn't driven this track before, so that was my first couple of laps for the first race. We'll see how the penalty goes, but I'm looking at it now, and it looks like I left some space, so we'll see how it goes. But small field regardless, so won't lose too many points.
Yeah, Thomas, we were just talking to Jake there, and he said that, from his perspective, you kind of outbroke yourself, and you're saying that there's space that you could have gone into that closed quickly, but having an incident like that early on in the race, you got to think for the rest of the race. Are you thinking there's a penalty coming, or are you not worried about that? That's out of your mind.
At that point, I just keep driving and don't really care what happens. Yeah, because a lot can happen.
I think that's correct. A lot can happen. A lot did happen there in the opening stages and then nearly at the end. But before we turn you loose, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
I just want to shout out the CiL and thanks for putting on a good one, even though the turnout wasn't as big this week, but I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I think we are too. Next week should be fun. Everybody coming back from their Independence Day festivities. So congrats to yourself and to Virginia again.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, that's kind of how it goes. One day we'll there was famously a video released or leaked, depending on who you talk to, of a Major League Baseball umpire who was mic'd up and having a discussion. It wasn't supposed to be made public, but it was, and it was very well circulated. And I assume the same could be said for anytime we could get two drivers together in a steward's room. That would be some quality pay-per-view content. Yeah, I think that whether you outbreak or you leave some space, I don't know that the drivers will ever agree on anything, but it looks like what we can agree on is another dominating performance from Ian Brown in Mesa Community College. And Ian, once you made the pass, you were off to the races, figuratively. But yeah, walk us through that pass and what was the strategy there for getting around that Virginia car?
Oh man, he was like defending really hard, and I knew he had the penalty from the start, so I was just trying to like not go around his outside, not like spin out or anything like that. And yeah, he was defending really hard, so I had to just wait for a mistake. And then I don't know if he got a slowdown or what, but coming in like on that second right-hander that's after the back straight, he just had a really poor run. I didn't really plan the move at all. It just was there, and I took it.
Yeah, Ian, we saw a really good overtake from you there on Thomas Toomey, but obviously the start of the race, we all saw that turn one incident between, I think it was Williams, Toomey, and Cummings. Now, obviously, you're sitting back and watching all this unfold. Are you trying to take advantage of the chaos in front of you, or are you trying to play it safe, knowing that you had the raw speed tonight to pass everyone once it all settled out?
Honestly, I think with these reverse grid starts, those two are one and the same. Because really, the at least if you have pace, the way to take advantage of it is to play it safe. Um, and I mean, there's also some level of intuition of like knowing the strategic car placements and stuff like that. But you know, I wasn't looking to get all the positions at once. I knew I had good pace, and yeah, they kind of just to me just steamed in a bit hot there. I was really unfortunate to see Jake spin because it's his first race back in a few weeks, and we were looking forward to battling each other. But it is what it is, and I guess it worked out well for me.
Yeah, I would say so. And another double win here tonight. Mesa Community College looking pretty good. But before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to thank tonight, Ian?
It's actually my first double win, which I'm happy to say because I've been trying to get one all season. And thanking someone, I'll go Jake Cummings for coming back and racing with me today.
Yeah, well, I think we enjoyed that maybe almost as much as you did. Very fun to see both of you guys on track, mixing it up. And congrats again on a really good performance tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, no surprises there. You just gotta balance your way forward through the field on your tiptoes, and Ian was able to do that and came home with the win. I didn't know that. Man, is that really his first? It feels like certainly not the first, maybe a repeat, but is that his first double win in the road series?
I mean, it must be. It came from the man himself, so it is very surprising, though, to see a driver of his quality not get double wins more often. I feel like we see him at the front every race, and I feel like just whether it be through bad luck, technical issues like last week with the router issues, or just random occurrences, or maybe even just the skill of the rest of the field, that he's not been able to get to the front of the field in both races. He might start in the front in race 2, or start the front in race 1, and then race 2 goes poorly due to a wreck or just somebody else having to speed that race. So really surprising, and I feel like most of it's just been bad luck for him in that second race with wrecks and other things. So I'm glad to see him on the top step of the podium 2 times tonight because he totally deserves it.
Yeah, I think so. It was a pretty fun race. Excited to see maybe a few more wheels on the track next week. But next week we're back in full force. Monday is again the Oval Series Gen 4 goes racing at 9 p.m. Eastern, and the same time on Wednesday we will be back. It's a night race or an evening race at VIR Virginia International Raceway in these Toyota GR86s, and that we want to talk about car count and technical tracks, Matt. That is textbook.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. VIR, my home track, of course, being from NC State, so it's going to be tons of fun to watch. Totally underrated track, and I think it's going to be fun to watch next week, Josh. Oh, I think
so. So with all the festivities here tonight, looking ahead to next week, thank you from all of us here at CiL for hanging out, tuning in, and we'll see you next week.